Epiphany means like this revelation, right? This opening, and it's got to do about noticing, and it's got to do about wondering, and that's, what the wise men did. They noticed and they wondered. Well, there's a type of Bible study that's kind of popular amongst Lutherans nowadays called I Notice and I Wonder. And so I'm going out on a limb today, and we're going to do something different. We're going to do the gospel according to this type of Bible study, I notice and I wonder. So there will be times when you get to notice and wonder out loud, so we can all participate together. I do this also because you're starting a new year, and just to kind of start out the new year and encouraging everyone that it's not too hard, just to read the Bible together and notice and wonder. So we'll do this 2 verses at a time, and I'll stop, and then we'll see what you notice and you wonder. So, in the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising and have come to pay him homage." What do you notice or wonder about those 2 verses?
How did they know the star was super important? I mean, you have lots of stars in the sky.
Yeah, that's a good question. People that study the stars are like astronomers and that, so they said, hey, this is a really weird star. This means something special. What's curious is that it moved, right? Because they followed it and it did something different. Yeah,
The Nazi invasion wasn't that long ago.
what wasn't that long ago?
I said the Nazi invasion.
Okay.
Because it said the King of the Jews.
Oh, okay, I got the connection. The Jews there. Yeah. So, but Jesus is the King of the Jews. So that's interesting. You notice that he's called the King of the Jews. We just call him King. That's a good notice. How many kings were there, or wise men were there? Huh? Did it say that? Well, yeah, up there, but in the Bible verse we just read, it doesn't say. The Bible doesn't say there were 3. There were just wise men. There could have been 2 or 4 or 7.
Or 1.
You know why they say there's 3? Because there is 3 gifts. So they figured there had to be at least 3, each one bringing a different gift. Yeah. And then I want to know if you know the word homage. What does homage mean? I wonder about that. Honor, respect. It literally means to also fall on your knees, to bow down and fall on your knees, to really respect someone. But it also can mean fall on your knees to worship. Like if you're really getting down on your knees to give someone that much respect and honor, you're worshiping them. So homage can mean just, respecting the king, or it can mean all the way to worship. Okay, anything else you notice or wonder about those first 2 verses?
What are wise men?
Well, literally it's magi, which was a type of a priestly caste. And so they were just like these people that studied the stars and studied different histories and things like that. And they were a total different religion. They're from the east, and it wasn't Jewish. And so they were Gentiles. They were from a far away. Far away. And they walked a long way to get there. So, something was drawing them there. The light, like in our first reading, that was drawing them there. That's why Epiphany is so cool, my favorite, by the way, because it's when Jesus is revealed to the whole world, that Epiphany, and the wise men represent that. Okay, anything else? Okay, let's go to the next 2 verses. When King Herod had heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. What do you notice about that? Or wonder?
The king was going to be born in that competition.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a little research and found out that he was first named the governor of that region of Galilee. And then Mark Antony, he appointed King Herod as like the upper ruler. They called it tetrarch of Judea. And then the last, he was finally named king of Judea. So he kept climbing the ladder. So he didn't just get to be king because he was born. So yeah, you think that's why he was afraid? Did you notice what else? All Jerusalem was afraid with him. Why do you think that was?
Caesar was supposed to be their king.
Yeah, and there's a ruthless king there too. Herod was pretty darn ruthless, as you'll hear the rest of the story. Yeah. Yeah, so everyone else was scared too. Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's listen next. Is there anything else you noticed or wondered? Yeah, Lauren?
Why was King Herod so threatened by this baby? Because if King Herod was old enough to be king and ruling, couldn't he have just taken Jesus under his wing and raised him?
Well, it was because the prophecies of that a king would be born again of David's lineage, and he would just be king because of the lineage and who he was related to. And so he wouldn't be king anymore to the Jews. He would be this baby, the Messiah, would be the king. Yeah. So that's what he does. He consults. Is this the guy? Is this the baby, right? So the next verses, I think we are finding what they told him. So they told him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for so it has been written by the prophet, and you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means the least of the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel. So you notice or wonder anything about that? Verses 5 and 6.
Fulfilling a prophecy.
Yeah, fulfilling the prophecy. And that is Micah. It comes from Micah 5:2. It's a little different. I'll read it from Micah 5:2, and you can read along up there what the quote is in Matthew. In Micah it actually says, "But you, O Bethlehem of Ephrathah, who are one of the little clans of Judah, from you shall come forth for me one who is to rule Israel, whose origin is from of old, from ancient days." So that's why he was so scared, because this was foretelling a prophecy, and this is the return of the Davidic lineage. Any other wondering or noticing? Yeah, Beckett?
What are those two towns?
What are those two towns? Well, which two are you talking about? Bethlehem?
No, I mean the one town, Judah.
Judah? Well, that's the whole landmass. That's the whole area. That would be like Wisconsin, or actually the Midwest. So it would be, that's just like a bigger area. It was the whole region, and that region had the name Judah. That's a good question. And the Messiah is the anointed one, yeah.
So it's interesting that these wise men from Eastern wherever knew this prophecy.
No, this is the local priest telling King Herod, and then Herod tells the wise men.
Okay.
Yeah, the wise men were just drawn by the star and knowledge, and they really didn't know. It's Herod that gets scared and asks, "What did the prophecy say again?" And the prophet say, the priest tell him this, and then he knows. But I think it's interesting. I noticed that when King Herod calls the scribes and priests together, he says where the Messiah was to be born. So King Herod is identifying this prophet, what the wise men are looking for as the prophecy of the Messiah. Okay, let's move on. Next two verses. Then Herod secretly called for the wise men and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child. And when you have found him, bring me word, so that I may go also and pay him homage."
I think it's interesting, I mean, he really probably didn't want to pay him homage or be, so scared and didn't like this baby that was going to be king, so
Yeah.
is he lying there and saying
Yeah.
his homage?
We'll get back there in a minute, yeah. Just kind of leave that wondering. That's a really good thing to wonder when you hear this. Yeah. I wonder why it was in secret. What was he hiding, right? Anything else?
Trying to pinpoint the age.
Yeah. That's going to be important here in a few verses too. Yeah, Beckett?
Who's the child?
Who's the child? I heard someone whisper it. What did they say? Baby Jesus. Yeah. Yeah, baby Jesus. Yep, it is. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions or noticing or wondering? Yeah.
So when we talk about the Christmas story, I usually imagine it as they all gather and it's that one night when Jesus is born, we see the wise men come and the shepherds are there, everybody's there at that one time. But what I'm kind of gathering is that the wise men come later.
Yeah.
Farther into, so Jesus is already past infant stage.
Yep. 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 At least, not the same time. Anywhere between a couple weeks up to 2 years. And we find that out in a couple verses. That he's under 2. So, yeah. Yeah, that's why pastors sometimes are, really strict Bible readers don't like the wise men to come in the Christmas pageants. And I tend to do this, like, oh no, because you're not teaching them the Bible. The Bible says they come later. Don't bring the wise men together. And it's silly. It's tradition. The wise men do get there eventually, but they get there later, and it's special because they don't hear like the angels, and they don't, they're following because the light is drawing them, and all this other prophecy is being fulfilled by the wise men coming. All right, let's move on. Got a few more verses here. So, verse 9. When they had heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star that they had seen at the rising, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy.
How could they see the star in the daytime?
Have you seen the moon at night? Or daytime? I'm sorry. Yeah, sometimes the moon's there. Sometimes in the morning the stars are still out. It might have been some kind of, what do you call it, comet or something that was moving, and sometimes, maybe they left at night, it was dark, but they still saw it. Maybe they took out their special high-tech telescope and saw it. No, I'm kidding. They didn't have that back in the day.
So why were they overwhelmed with joy? Since they were not of the same lineage of...
Same religion too, yeah.
I wonder if they were just happy if they've been traveling for how long,
Yeah.
and they finally get to find out what this is all about, maybe.
But have you ever been filled with joy at seeing something or experiencing something? And I really think when you're doing it, that's, God nudging you, and that's, so I think, God was directly communicating with them and opening their eyes to the fact that this was God, this is the Savior, and so they were overwhelmed with joy for more than one reason. Meeting their goal, like Elaine said, but I think moving on too. There was one other thing I wanted to kind of pick up. You notice that these wise men stopped and asked for directions. I couldn't resist it, I'm sorry. That's why they were wise men. Yeah. Dum-dum. Okay. All right. But seriously, did they get directions from the king, or was it the star? I think it was the star. Even though they found out it was Bethlehem, that's what their scriptures of the Jewish people said. It says, you know, they go back out and they see the star right away. So, you know, maybe they'd been with the king all day and it was evening and they go outside, whoop, there's the star again. So they follow the star. So I think it's God leading them too. Okay, the last 2 verses here. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then opening their treasure chest, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. What did you know again?
So they only wanted to stop and pay homage and then leave?
Well, they had a dream, so they probably went to bed and slept to have a dream, so yeah.
Why did they bring him gifts?
They did that to kings, you know, that was a tradition to bring a gift, you know, but those gifts, when we sang that first song, it kind of describes what the gifts, you know, in church history have kind of thought of gold as a gift of riches for the king, a crown, gold, a crown, da, da, da. And then frankincense is used in worship as an incense, but it's also, I mean, it was used probably back then for healing, it is now too. And then also myrrh, which was used for embalming, so, you know, preserving the bodies and that. So that's what myrrh was used for. And so, you know, they had that special meaning too. It was used for anointing, so a king would be anointed. You know, if it was a holy child, there'd be incense, and then also the gold, which would be universal gifts for a holy king or a holy child or a holy person. So they you know, they don't sound practical, right? It's not like diapers or, you know, baby wipes and all that kind of stuff, but, you know, the frankincense and myrrh might have been useful if they were used for healing, and the gold would have been useful. Buy stuff, so. Anything else you notice?
Wonder what they said.
Yeah. Wonder what Mary thought, you know? And I just noticed, and I haven't noticed this before, and that's why you keep rereading the Bible and that. I never noticed Joseph wasn't there. It's just Mary. Joseph is probably out in the fields with shepherds or something, I don't know, working in carpenter shop down the way. Now why, they would have stayed for a while, right? A baby was born, so, you know, tiny baby, they're not going to turn around and head right back to Nazareth. So they're probably staying with relatives because that was their hometown, so they've got distant relatives there. So the crowds have gone, so they're staying with one of their friends or family. That's why they're in a house now. They're no longer in the stable. I hope no one's too disappointed in finding out the real Christmas story here. It's cool. It's really cool that these wise men came from so far, these magi, you know. I think it's really neat. Kind of makes us wonder, you know, where our role is in all this. The other thing that's really neat is they came to pay homage. They came to pay homage. The King Herod wanted to pay homage, and when they got there, and even in paying homage, the Greek word means that they're kneeling too. But here it says they knelt and paid homage. So it really kind of double emphasizes it. So that they get there, they're overwhelmed with joy, and they fall down and worship, basically. I mean, by saying both knelt and homage, it's really saying this is on the worship end of respect. Yeah, Beckett.
Did you know that Jesus actually wasn't born anywhere near Christmas?
We don't know when he was born. The church just kind of picked December 25th, and the reason they picked December 25th is because they thought March 25th was when the angel came to Mary, and so they calculated 9 months after that, and so it put it on December 25th. And so that's one of the reasons, and they've got some specific reasons why they think March 25th was when Mary was visited by the angels. And then the other thing was there were some holidays and celebrations at that winter solstice time of year that kind of played into what the Christmas theme was, and it just kind of all fit together. But what's the most important thing about Christmas? Giving. Yeah, receiving, yeah. Why? Because we got the best gift. And what's the best gift? Jesus. Awesome. All right. Okay. And then the gifts we kind of talked about, right? The gold and the incense. And if you want afterwards, you could smell what myrrh and frankincense actually smells like. How about the dreaming? Did anyone wonder about the dreaming? We've gotten communications from God through dreaming. Here it is in the Bible. You know, they were told by God, go a different way. And you picked up earlier that there was something up to. It's not good. You know, after the wise men were gone, if you read the next verse, it says, this is Matthew 13, after the wise men were gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph, so Joseph was still around, in a dream. Get up and flee to Egypt with the child and his mother, the angel said. Stay there until I tell you to return, because Herod is going to try to kill the child. And so that night, Joseph left for Egypt with the baby and Mary, his mother, and they stayed there to Herod's death. And this is to fulfill the prophet that the Lord had spoken through the prophet. I called my son out of Egypt. Now the rest of the story is not PG. The rest of the story is pretty gruesome and is usually read the first Sunday after Christmas. And this is why, to this day, we have lessons and carols the Sunday after Christmas and not the regular reading. So if you want to read the rest of chapter 2, if you're not familiar with what happens, you're welcome to do that. But it talks about Herod knew that the children were all under 2. So the child had to be anywhere from a few days old to over 2. So I think it's interesting to note that the angel appears to Joseph 3 times. At his birth, right, to tell Jesus to tell Joseph Jesus is going to be born, to flee, hey, your baby's in trouble, go to Egypt, protect the baby, and then when they came home, it's okay to come home now. So you know what this means? Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus were refugees. That's why our ministry to the refugees is going to be important too. So what's all this mean to us today? I think there's a couple things. The question is, where is Jesus? Because both the wise men and King Herod are asking, where is Jesus? And so where do we find Jesus today? And how do you follow Jesus today? Right? And that's something to start the new year, you know, seeking Jesus in our lives and following Jesus in our lives. So it's a good story for the new year. And then the other thing is, how do we pay homage to Jesus, right? We should all be paying homage to Jesus too. What are some ways we pay homage to Jesus today? Right now, right? Worshiping together. Offerings, like the wise men did, offerings. We do that with offerings here. It could be a stewardship sermon. Offerings. And that's the real reason for offerings, is to pay homage to God, to Jesus. And then it harkens back to that reading from Isaiah 60. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. Your heart shall thrill and rejoice. In other words, you too, upon finding Jesus, will be overwhelmed with joy. So keep looking. Keep your eyes open. Connecting that whole idea of the light and the star as Jesus as the light that we hear from the Gospel according to John. The light that overcomes all darkness. So I leave you with one take-home thing. This is Epiphany. A popular thing to do at Epiphany time is to do blessings of your home. And I used to do this all the time at the daycare center at the other church. On the Wednesday closest to Epiphany, we'd go around and bless each classroom. And over the years it got a little bit more extensive, and we bless the kitchen, and we bless the gym, and we bless the bathrooms, and you know, we go through and we take the light, the candlelight, or the acolyte take the light from the altar and go to each room, ask what is done in the room, and then say a little blessing. Well, you could just set a candle or even carry a pillar candle around from room to room, right? And some of the things you want are, the things that connect us to Jesus, right? That our home be a welcoming place, right? And full of love and the joy of Jesus. So the people that come and visit know when they come to this place that this is a place. So, taking the candle into the room and asking God to bless it, that it be a place of warm and welcome and love. And then just think about what the purpose is in each room. So like the living room is a place to gather in fellowship so that the fellowship is filled with joy and love. And the bedroom is a place of rest and rejuvenation. The kitchen, a place of, happy hearts and nourishing food. And the bathroom, a place where you are, cleansed and cleaned and go out the next day. So I just encourage you to do that. It's a really nice way to kind of start the new year and start the Epiphany season, just remembering the light that comes to us through Jesus and also the blessing that comes through us in Jesus and setting a blessing in your home. So when we leave, right, we're not warned to avoid everybody. We are to go and share the good news. And one way you could do that is by sharing, the blessing in your house with your family or just, keeping your eyes open and keep reading the Bible and just noticing and wondering yourself. Anyone can do it. Amen.